This is a fast story on how I came across a console I've always wanted since 1989. Sit back and enjoy. Cadillac, what you playing?
Turbografx-16.
A real Turbografx-16? You really got one?
Mm-hmm.
Destruction.
Okay, I'm Will Santana and welcome to my first episode of my Turbografx-16 Complete Collection Journal. I'm going to show you guys my road to I collect all 94 games, including Magical Chase, which is the holy grail of the Turbografx-16, the equivalent of stadium events. It's not quite worth as much, but it's up there in price. I brought along Cadillac over here because Cadillac, he's the only person I've ever met in person that has played a Turbografx-16, even seen it. Played it, touched it, whatever. Cadillac, tell me your first experience with Turbografx-16.
You better get one of them shirts.
No, you gotta get your own.
Alright, I can't recall my age, but I was at my grandmother's house. Went across the street to the, I don't want to say their names, so they old school, so. But I remember Don, I'll at least say that much. They had a Neo Geo, a Turbografx-16, a Sega, everything. They had it all. And I was like, I want to play that one, which just so happened to be the Turbografx-16. You pop the card in there, and I was playing some little airplane game with the and all that stuff that can shoot across the screen, like Raiden DX or something. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the game, but it was so long. That was like my only experience with it ever. And I was like, I cried when they pulled me off of it because I was having so much fun. So I tried rushing back over there, and like a few days later when I went back to my grandmother's house and he didn't have it anymore. And I think the only thing he had over there was a Neo Geo. Okay. And I ended up playing the Metal Slug. And that's a great game. That looked so good, man. But anyway, at that time, that was like the best graphics in the world, man. I was just like, ah!
See, now I heard of the Turbografx-16 because I used to get the Game Pro magazine and I used to watch the Game Pro show on Saturdays, which Saturday morning cartoons just aren't the same. But I remember watching Game Pro on there, and I always was so curious about this system. I wanted to know so much about it. I wanted to play it. I wanted to try it. But the problem I had was, at the time, my father was in the military and we were stationed in Fort Buchanan, Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico! Puerto Rico!
They weren't sent over to Puerto Rico. And plus at the time, in the I think it was late 80s, early 90s, the Turbografx-16 was just so expensive. It was too expensive. You know, I had a regular Nintendo. I didn't even have a Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis yet at the time.
Yes, that game system was way ahead of its time, and I think that's what PlayStation ended up doing. They took advantage of the fact that they didn't sell. So like if you look at the original PlayStation and then compare it to the Turbografx-16, you'll be like, oh, okay. You know, I mean, I had a ball with it. I said when I was a little kid, you had to pull me, they had to drag me out the house. I wanted to play that game that bad. It was fun.
Now, I'm not going to get into the history of the Turbografx-16 on this episode or any of my complete collection journal ones because there's a lot of YouTubers who have already done it, and I feel like I want to just showcase the actual game pickups on here. But since this is my first episode, I want to go ahead and show you guys some of the accessories and the system itself that I finally got. And I just started this 3 weeks ago, guys, so it's going to be a long, rough, expensive journey. You know, it really is. But before we show you that, let's get into somebody who's actually experienced this, but with the NES. He's actually four games away from completing a complete NES collection. He's almost there. It's a young kid. His name is Tyler Hunt. He's got a YouTube page with his father. The page is called Luigifreakout123.
123.
Let's get into it.
Hey everyone, so I'd like to thank Will Santa Films for having me on here. Anyways, how I started was I was going to be going to camp one day, and there was a garage sale along the way to the camp. So we stopped there, and I got this game right here, Marble Madness. It was only $1, and I decided to pick it up. And for my birthday, my parents got me a Retron 3, which plays NES, SNES, and Sega Genesis games, and a couple other NES games like Spy vs. Spy. And I just kind of fell in love with those games, and I guess that's how I started. I'm still shocked I even got to this point. I really just thought we'd get like 100 games. We thought fun. I never thought we'd ever get to this point, like I said. So yeah, thanks for having me on here, Will, and good luck completing your Turbografx collection.
All right, thanks Tyler, man, for that little clip and advice and hints and everything on your journey to completing your NES collection.
Yeah, more games than me.
What did you think of that collection, man?
Man, did you see it? Man, it was like this. It was a whole room though. Like, I mean, how you turn around, do a full 360 and you see nothing but video games?
You saw the Nintendo 64 and stuff.
Yeah, all them different colors and stuff, man.
Well, Tyler,
I don't get jealous easily. You made me jealous.
Well, Tyler, I got great news. You're down to 4 games. I have one for you. You're down to 3, man. Congratulations, man. I'm gonna send this to you ASAP, and I really appreciate the video. For those of you who have never seen a Turbografx-16, I would probably say about 90% of my friends have never even heard of it.
I'm about to be in that 90%. What the hell is this?
Never heard of it.
It's a sleeper system.
Yeah, okay, well, this is what it actually looks like. A standalone version. This is it. Back piece comes out. I'll get into a little bit later what goes in there. This is the system itself.
Oh, let me see. Now, if this was gray and had a circle right here, what would it be? A PlayStation. Okay.
Alright. Another accessory I have for it is this is called the Turbo Tap.
Turbo Tap.
This is one thing that I felt Turbografx-16 failed with, that you had to have this in order to have 2 players or multiplayers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The fact that they only had 1 port for 1 controller in there was a killer for me, you know? And then another thing was the RCA cable. It had no hookups for it. You had to buy an additional accessory, the Turbo Booster.
Yeah, they had to make their money back somehow.
Yeah, so that was one thing I felt that I didn't like about picking up the system, but
that was stupid.
I know you guys want to get into my collection and everything, but before we get into my collection now, let's get into somebody who's on his journey right now. He's actually at 602. He's almost there with a complete NES collection. He's actually the guy who inspired me to do this series for Turbografx-16. Let's get into MichaelBTheGame, Genie.
Hey Will, thank you so much for asking me to take part in this, man, and that is just awesome that I've inspired you to do this. Like, collecting a complete collection is so cool, and the Turbografx-16 is an amazing choice. Anyways, I'm MichaelBTheGame, Genie, and for the last 3 years I've been chronicling my quest to collect a complete NES collection. I'm currently at 602 games. Now, these games just didn't show up out of nowhere, and they weren't easy to find. It actually took a lot of work. We're talking about waking up every single Saturday and Sunday morning, hitting the flea markets, trying to get the best deals on games possible. How else I get the games that I get is building relationships with resellers, finding other people that have games, or selling games, telling them what you need, making them aware of what you're trying to do, getting them on board, and that actually pays out great dividends, not only in them getting the games that you need, but also on pricing too, because they're usually pretty flexible and they want to see you get that goal. Now, you can do eBay, like sometimes with a rare title that will come up, but usually I try to stay away from that. Primarily just try to collect here locally. Well, I'm going to tell you something you don't actually know about me. I collect NES games, and you know, I'm getting pretty close to finishing, but I also collect for the Turbografx-16. In fact, I'm about 50% through my collection, and I want to give you some quick tips on collecting for the Turbografx-16. The reality is, it can be very frustrating at times because, like you've mentioned already, I mean, almost nobody had a Turbografx-16, so there's not a pile of games that are just open there in circulation. So you have to be very patient. If you want to pick up everything locally, you have to realize that it's probably going to be a while before you find games, or it's going to be that rare gem. The other thing is, you got to buy them off eBay, which can be a little bit pricey, but you know what? You've really got to be selective, and you can find the games you're looking for, sometimes at a good price, all outside of Magical Chase. Now, the other thing I want to tell you about is, depends on what level you want to collect. For me, for the Turbografx-16, I want to have everything in a jewel case. But there's a huge problem with that, because the later releases in the TurboGrafx life cycle didn't exactly come in jewel cases. So then you've got to do something that some people find ugly, which is get repro jewel cases, which in this case, it's not a bad thing. Anyways, man, best of luck with your
thanks Michael for that video. As y'all know, Michael is getting so close to completing his collection. He's probably got about 150 left, so around that ballpark.
Got me jealous too.
He's almost there, man. You know, and he's got one of the tough ones, Little Samson. It's knocked out. He's got that one. But
what's that, like $500?
Nah, that one's, I've seen it go up to about $900, man. It's up there, so that's a big one he got out of the way. All right, well, let's get into my collection, guys, and we're gonna start off simple. We're gonna start off with Keep Courage, which is the packing game for it. I don't have a case for this one. I would say this is probably one of the worst packing games in history of consoles. It's not a bad game, but it's not a Mario, it's not a Sonic, it's not an Ultra Beast. It's not bad, but they should have went with Bonk's in my opinion. Bonk's Adventure would have been the great packing game, you know? Yeah. Alright, let's get on to number 2. Let's go with TV Sports Football. This is actually a terrible football game. It has nothing on John Madden if you're a Madden fan, or what was the other one? 2K? 2K. Yeah, 2K had some pretty good games back in the days.
Oh, they come out with another one.
Yeah, so that's number 2. Number 3 is Falcon. I have yet to play this one yet. I heard it's decent. I haven't really heard too much bad things about it, so I'll definitely get into it. Next is JJ and Jeff. That's number 4. JJ and Jeff. I actually played this one. I didn't get too far into it. It was getting too late at night. I've heard great things about it, but so far I'm not into it. I may need to give it a little more chance and try to get further into it, but it's definitely something I'm interested in. Number 5, Legendary Axe. This is actually a good game.
What was it about?
It's a guy who, caveman who run around with an axe. I don't want to say it's Zelda type because it's a side scroller, but it's actually, it's pretty fun. I think you would definitely like it with you being a gamer. You know, it's very challenging. Okay. Next is Tailspin. I didn't like this one. I actually
Disney?
Yeah,
Tailspin?
Yeah.
Oh.
But it's not made by Capcom, like the NES. But I actually didn't like it. I've always heard it was decent. My daughter kind of got into it a little bit, but she couldn't get too far, so we'll check out Tailspin. Next is Pac-Land. I actually thought this was okay for a Pac-Man game, side scroller, but it has some of the old school classics where he has to eat the pellets, eat the ghosts and stuff, so some of that's in there.
That one says now calling.
Okay. Yeah, so cool. Yep, Pac-Land, you know, it's a pretty decent game. This is actually my favorite one I got so far. We're talking about Splatterhouse. I actually love this game. I haven't beaten it yet. I actually got halfway. I saw Lack playing it last night. He actually got pretty far, so obviously he's played this one before. Maybe. he really got pretty far on it, but that's Splatterhouse right there. Next we got Space Harrier. This is a classic. Space Harrier is just a classic. You know, the guy flying around on the rocket ship, and this game is just, it's awesome, man. I like it on Turbografx-16. I heard the Sega 32X version is the best version of it, but I haven't checked it out yet. But I definitely love this game. This was a great pickup for me. Next we got Alien Crush. This is a great pinball game. If you like pinball, the graphics on it is just amazing. The soundtrack and everything for the musical score on this.
It doesn't look like a pinball game. Look at that. That's Will when he takes his makeup off.
This is a great game, guys. Alien Crush, a great pinball game. Of course, this is a classic. Yeah. Everybody knows Galaga. This is Galaga 90. They added a little twist on it where you can have 2 ships, but you lose a life if you do that. So it's up to you. It's up to you if you want to do the challenge of going old school with one ship. That was on the original too. That was on the original too? Yeah. I don't remember that. Yeah. But Galaga 90 is a classic Turbografx-16. And last but not least is
King of Casino.
I'm not a gambler. I'm not into Vegas type stuff, so
I like more money.
This ain't for me, guys. But as you see, I'm getting very close to my collection. This is not bad for me starting 3 weeks ago, right? Yeah, not bad at all. 11. Yeah, it was 11. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. Hey, 12 for 3 weeks. As you guys know, this is very expensive, but before we head out, man, I want to give out to one of my favorite YouTubers. This is the Easter Egg Hunter, and he's got some tips for you guys. Here he is.
With the likes of eBay today, it is very easy and tempting to go and splurge a load of cash on something that sits in front of you. and some things that you might not necessarily need. So if there was any tips that I could suggest towards collecting video games, then I would say this. Have a purpose for collecting, whether it be collecting for a particular console, handheld or era that interests you. Much of my love for handhelds and tabletop games from the past comes from the fact that none of these companies even exist anymore, and I love the stories of how they came to be, and that's what I find really fascinating. Secondly, don't rush into buying a game from eBay just because it sits there in front of you, and especially if it's rare and expensive, because 9 times out of 10 you can wait, sit back and wait, or at least try to. I know it's quite hard to do, and hopefully there'll be a cheaper one that will come along in the future, and it will happen. You've just got to be patient. Patience is the key to collecting great video games and not having to spend a lot of money. And if it's that rare, well then 9 times out of 10 again, others will come out of the woodwork and you should be able to pick up a bargain. And also, don't be afraid to get out in the wild every so often and check out the flea markets, thrift stores, car boot sales and charity stores. There are always bargains to be had.
Thanks, James, man, for those excellent tips, you know, especially with eBay. I see some games that I want on there and I instantly want to just go buy it now or wait till the last day of the auction. But I see you have to be patient, because like the cheaper you pay for the game, especially depending on the condition, the better you off in the long run, money wise, and to help you complete the collection or whatever you're trying to collect. So that's definitely great advice. And once again, I want to thank Tyler, Michael, and James for being on here. These guys did not have to come through for me, but they did. I instantly asked them and they responded and all said yes. None of them said, oh, I'll have to think about it, let me see if I got time. They made it happen, so I definitely want to thank them. Y'all please make sure you subscribe to their page. They didn't have to do this for me. Their channels are huge. I'm just starting off, but please, man, you know, I just want to give you guys some respect. And Michael, I also have some games I want to send you. I have that Metal Fighter I see you missing in your collection, and I also have Tengen Roadrunner. So I will be sending these on your to you in Canada. I also have Millipede. It's up in the attic. I haven't found it yet, but I know it's in that attic somewhere, so I'm gonna find it and I will be sending that to you as well. Once again, also you guys notice Cadillac's not here. We actually had a different ending, but I had to reshoot this because I forgot to push the record button. Dumb me. But I couldn't show what we did and push record on at the end. We were just goofing around, so that I can't show. I'll definitely get in trouble with that. But once again, you guys, I'm sorry this video is so long. I'm sorry it's so long, but the next one won't be as long because I'll just get straight to the point. I had to give a little history on why I want to do this and everything. So please, y'all, subscribe. I'm going to be showing you guys. I actually added 6 more games already for my next video, so who knows how many more I'll add into there. So I'm actually at now a total number of 18, but we'll get to that on the next video, guys. See ya.